Okay, welcome to the first phone live streaming question and answer session. This meeting can go in any direction. You can ask questions about phone live streaming. You can ask questions about online ministry. You can ask questions about whatever system you're using, your cameras, your sound, etc., and so forth. I'll just take a little bit of license here to brag a little bit. David, who's with us here today, is my son. And he has been recognized by Amazon, the cloud division of Amazon, AWS, as being a developer of some of the best cloud systems in 2016, 2017, and 2019. Unsolicited, a couple of years ago, he received a call from the White House wanting and showing interest in using his code. So he is a premier person in the online cloud and streaming area, and you'll find him to be very helpful. But we're going to get started with just some background information first and interaction, and then we'll go to your questions. And when you want to answer your question, just unmute your mic and you can ask, or you can ask the question in the chat. If you're looking for the chat, just move your mouse around the screen and the little buttons will show up across the bottom. One of those will be chat. You can click on that and the chat box will show up where you can participate through the chat. David, get us started about a year ago and explain how phone line streaming came about.
So I was actually visiting my parents up in Minnesota. I live here in rural Illinois. And I saw in the news that New York started limiting gathering sizes. And so our rural church has a bunch of elderly saints. And so I was trying to figure out a method to keep in touch with them, primarily using our live streaming stuff. We've been on Facebook for 3, 4, 5 years, 6 years. But these elderly saints, they didn't have internet. And if they did, it was via satellite or something because we're rural, which is very expensive to try and watch video on. And so that evening I sat down about 10 p.m. on a Thursday and wrote the first version of phone live streaming. I stayed up till about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And I posted it on Facebook for a couple of my friends to sign up or play with, for me and a couple of my friends. And by the time I woke up that next morning about 8 o'clock, I already had 3 or 4 people signed up on my Google form for my first version of phone live streaming. So that's kind of how it took off, and it's taken off from there. I got the message here: how to attract people to our church service broadcast. Do you want to take that one, Dad?
Okay. So when you're talking about the broadcast, are you talking about your regular online streaming, or are you talking about phone line streaming? Okay. So for regular online streaming, the best thing you can do is to leave cookie crumbs. What a cookie crumb is you take the video recording from your previous Sunday service and you cut out 60-second sessions. Just little 60 seconds here and there that makes a key point, and put those 60 seconds on social media. Do one a day, one for Monday, one for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So people get an idea about your church and your streaming. And in the comments, mention, hey, you can join us, and give the link to where they can join you on Sunday for your regular service. You can also do quote cards. That's where you get a picture that's related to the message and you just put a quote on it. So it's a graphic picture, and you share those quotes from the sermon again throughout the week. So you might do video Monday morning, quote card Monday afternoon, quote card Tuesday morning, video Tuesday afternoon, kind of mix and match them throughout the days. And again, all those have a link to the live stream for the next Sunday. Third thing you can do is do a behind the scenes, preferably on Thursday evening about 5 or 6 p.m. where the minister talks about what they're going to be preaching about coming Sunday. So they will know what the topic is and kind of be teased a little bit about what to listen to on Sunday. So those are three things, and they're called cookie crumbs. You're just leaving crumbs, leading people to your live stream. That is the 60-second videos, the quote cards, and then the behind the scenes Thursday from the pastor. Now, for the offline on the phone, you want to do bulletins, you want to visit, you want to call them and tell them about it. You might want to connect a child of an elderly person or neighbor that can help them dial in the first time so they're comfortable with how phone live streaming works. So it needs some old-fashioned physical promotion for the phone side of promoting. Hope that answered your questions.
Good question.
Thank you.
Do you have any follow-on questions?
No, I'm okay.
You're good. All right.
Right,
I'm
man.
good.
Cool.
Yeah. Now, those sound simple. It's hard work. Okay. So
Yeah, I understand. Yeah,
so what you could do is you could divide that up with responsibility for the people. So one person does the quote cards, one person does the videos, maybe another person does the actual upload of it. And you don't have to do it every day. 2 to 3 times a day should be the maximum that you post from your account, from your church account. And then another thing you can do then is when you do those cookies and quote cards, ask the saints of the church to look for them and to share them.
okay.
So one of the things that I've learned and that we're learning, I should say, with my local church is trying to get everybody involved. So people stop saying, the church and start saying, my church or our church, right? And so the youth and the what we call hyphen, which is like your 18 to 25 in that college, not married kind of range. Those types of individuals really like the social media, the videos, that sort of thing. And this kind of stuff doesn't take them away from a service, right? You're not putting them behind a camera. You're not taking them out of a youth class or something. This is something they can do after hours. So if you write up what I like to call playbook, even if it's just like a half a page playbook, say, hey, we're going to create this kind of video done this way, posted at this time. And then you can hand that off to a young person, right? You now win that young person over because it's our church, it's my church, right? I'm helping at my church. You're giving them something to do after hours, right? So you're not, taking them away from any teaching or anything during a church service time. And then you're taking stuff off of your plate too, right? And you're making them feel important. So that's just a little nugget that we're kind of playing with and learning on our side.
No, yeah. Okay.
Well, welcome, John. Thanks for joining us. If you have a question, you can unmute and ask it, or you can put it into the chat, and we'll take your questions from there. Mama was just asking about promoting her online streaming, where we recommended doing 60-second cuts from the previous week's sermon, doing quote cards from the previous week's sermon, doing a behind the scenes on Thursday of what's coming up the next Sunday, and then, of course, asking people to share, distribute that. For promoting, getting people to watch or listen to your online streaming. So phone live streaming, for those that may not clearly understand, is an audio stream off of your live stream. So you do your regular live streaming, and phone live streaming will pick up the audio signal and send that across the traditional telephone line, and it will call everybody on your call list. So all they do is pick up the phone and answer it, and they're in church. It's great for the elderly, the poor, those that are on the move. It's also been used as a tool for translation. But that's not the only option. Some churches are not that advanced, and so there are other options. So David, what are the options for broadcasting on phone live streaming?
So we have a whole slew of options that we've worked with a number of churches to develop. I'd say one of our most popular is what we call SimLive, Simulated Live, which is if you're able to pre-record your church service, especially a lot of churches are doing this with COVID, different people recording from different locations and passing it in, and having it ready on like a Thursday night or something. And then you can, in the Facebook world, it's called Premiere. It's very similar functionality in phone live streaming. You can upload your audio on a Thursday night and say Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, call everybody as if we were live. So we do Sim Live. We also have what's called broadcast by phone, which is we give you a dedicated phone number to call into. You authenticate yourself. And then whatever the phone hears is broadcasted over your streaming phone number. So you can be driving. You can, I don't recommend that you dial while you're driving. So have your spouse do that for you. But this also works really well if you have a midweek session where you're doing it from home, or you have a non-technical person because there's no software to install, nothing to configure. They don't need an internet connection. They don't need a computer. All they have to do is, if they have their iPhone or a cell phone or landline, they can just lay it in front of them, dial in, and they're broadcasting live, and you get all the phone live streaming magic. So it's recorded. We do the live notifications, which is that auto dial, the outbound call. It does the recording, and people can also call in at that time and listen live. What my dad kind of hit on a little bit ago was the RTMP thing. So if you have something like an OBS, vMix, Wirecast, Restream, Caster, I mean, there's hundreds of different things that use RTMP. It's a very popular video streaming protocol. You can add as a destination in your setup. And then every time your live video stream starts, phone live streaming gets audio and all the phone live streaming magic happens, which is our most popular method because of all the automation there. There's nothing that a person has to do to start the live stream, nothing anybody has to do to monitor it or engage with it or allow people in or anything like that. It's all automated and attached to your live stream. We also have broadcast by browser. So if you're on a computer, you can, right in the dashboard there, you can start a broadcast right in your web browser. We recommend using Google Chrome. And this is a good testing point or a good first step if you're not totally comfortable with your live stream or getting connected to your live stream. We don't recommend this as a long-term solution, but it's definitely there as an option. We also recently, just want to highlight real quick, have an integration with Resi, and so their stuff is not RTMP. They've got some special stuff, and we can integrate with them based on service times and whatnot. So lots of cool different ways, from an MP3 to a live stream to a traditional phone that you can broadcast, and all those have the live stream magic tied in with the outbound phone calls, recordings, all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah. All right. Any questions at this point about phone line streaming or about online streaming? The whole gamut online ministry that you want to ask? Okay. We'll move on with some more information about phone line streaming. So there are 4 key areas that phone line streaming helps your ministry. One is it will help you reach the elderly that are tech phobia. And that's roughly 5% of the elderly in your community. About half of the elderly in your community, there's about 10% on average elderly people in your community. Half of those have tech phobia. They don't have the technology or they're afraid to use the technology. So phone line streaming just calls them, they answer their phone, no access code, no buttons to push, and they're in church.
So just to clarify that statistic, so it's 5% of the average community that has elderly that would have to use something like a phone live streaming.
Correct, if you're going to reach them.
Right, so 5 out of every 100. So if you've got a 10,000 person community, how many people?
About 500 people would, yeah.
That's a pretty good sized church right there.
Yeah.
And that's just for that. Okay, cool.
Sure. And it's very similar with the poverty. So your poverty is about 12 to 15% on average community. and roughly 40% of those cannot afford the technology needed to join you online, which roughly comes out to another 5% of your population. In the 10,000 example, we're talking about 500 people that are in the poverty situation where they could connect with you over a phone and join you in the streaming.
So now we're up to 10%. We're up to 1,000 out of 10,000 in the average community.
Right, they can't join
Okay.
you online.
Okay.
And then the next group is those that do not speak English. And in America, about 10% of our population, on average city, is foreign born. Okay, of those that are foreign born, half of them do speak some level of English, and half of them do not, which is another 5%. So now in your 10,000 community, you're looking at 1,500 people who cannot join you online for a video stream. Right? Then there's the fourth category. It's a little smaller, but it's your millennials. And you would think, oh, my millennials, they could be online, you know, they're advanced technology. Well, your millennials are busy people. A lot of them like to travel. And they do encounter buffering problems. So when the little spin wheel comes up and the video freezes, that's called buffering. When you're talking across the phone, broadcasting across the phone, you do not have the buffering, and the range of your reach is greater than the internet. So we have one of our churches that a third of the people listening in the church are millennials, either on the job with the earbud in, or they're traveling, or they're camping, and they join because they can do it clearly through the audio where the video is not in reach or is buffering. So those are
One of the
four
big things. Yeah, just to build off of that, one of the things that I hear a lot on the millennial side is the multitasking with the smartphone, right? So if I'm on I'm speaking specifically about my iPhone here now. If I'm on Facebook or if I'm on YouTube and I need to send a text, or I want to go on Safari and check something out, or any other app, right? It stops the video from playing, and I'm disconnected from listening to that church service live. Whereas on the phone, I can have the phone up and have Safari or any other app up and running, as long as there's no audio, and it works just fine. Even with maps or anything, the volume will auto adjust with the phone. Whereas Facebook, YouTube, if you have video up and you leave the app, you can't do that. So that was one of the big things I heard on the millennial side.
We had a question that came in. How do you get people's phone number for a phone live streaming if you don't know them? Okay, so again, through advertising, you can let people know, but the more important thing is other people letting other people know, right? So by putting out your phone number, so when you set up, first of all, when you set up a phone live streaming account, you get assigned a private phone number that is your phone number, okay? So when people call in, there's no menu to go through, no access codes. They're directly calling into the streaming. Now, when they call that number, if you're live, they'll hear you live. And if they call that number and you're not live, they hear the last broadcast, okay? And so you need to advertise through your bulletin and to your church, this is a service that we provide, and they will share that with others. Specifically, if you have people that work in the community in the areas of the elderly, the poor, or with foreign-born people, they can spread the word. So the word has to be spread. It doesn't work the same as in social media where you're able to do the cookie crumbs. Now, if you happen to know the person and you know that they want to hear from you, can ask and say, can I add your phone number to the list? And then they get the automatic call. So it takes some billing. Some are bigger churches, David, some of the larger accounts as far as their subscription list.
Yeah, so there's a couple things. They integrate, and we have integrations with most church management systems. So your planning, sending your Breeze, Texan Church, so on and so forth. And we also have CSV upload. So they already have a database or a list like that they're working off of to get their account set up, if you will. One of the other things I see a lot of churches do is in service. They'll have an announcements pre-roll that goes either like during offering or at the beginning of service, end of service, something like that. And they'll have a big slide with their phone number plastered on it. I've seen a lot of churches put their phone number on their physical sign outdoors. I've seen a lot of churches do mailings, postcards, letters, calling campaigns, stuff of that nature. One of the things from the back end, now kind of changing gears just a little bit, that can kind of help with some of this. So live notifications, that's the feature where we do the outbound phone calls. To become a subscriber, one of the methods that you can become a subscriber to live notifications is by calling in and pressing 1 at the prompt, right? So you don't have to add me as an admin from the back end to become a subscriber. I can call in without ever interacting with you and become a subscriber to your phone live streaming live stream. The other way is just so you're aware, every call that comes in is tracked in that call log there. And so you can see, hey, I don't know who this phone number is. And so we actually have, on some of our larger accounts, we have APIs and integrations, and you can do this 101 different ways. But if a phone number comes in and I don't know who this phone number is, it will automatically send an email or send a trigger out to a greeting team or a onboarding team or to a pastor or something like that, so that they can follow up on that person. And it gives the stats. So, hey, we got this phone number and they called at this time. They were on for 25 minutes. Obviously, they listened to a good portion of the message. We don't know who this person is. This sounds like a hot lead that we can connect with and kind of go from there. So there's lots of little tricks and tips like that. One of the big pros of phone live streaming is, in order to interact with us, we have to have your phone number, whether that's inbound or outbound. And if we have your phone number, that's a very, very highly prized piece of information, right? Where on social media, you're lucky if you get a username, right? Because they liked or they commented. You'll see 528 viewers and 30 comments. It's like, there's 500 people out there and I don't even know who they are. There's 50% male that are from the US, right? That's the kind of stuff that you get. Whereas phone live streaming, this exact phone number at this exact time for this exact amount. And in fact, we have a new feature we're rolling out Monday that will you'll be able to select one of your playback files. So Sunday morning from a week ago, there's a new stats icon on that, and it'll pull up everybody who's called in and listen to that playback file. So you can get, you can drill down as specific as you want, and you get phone numbers, and you can call, you can text. One of the things that we've kind of floated in the past, and it didn't seem like it really stuck, was if there's not a name for a phone number that you've assigned, we actually have access to a caller ID database. Then there's a small, couple pennies charge, and we can pull, is this a wireless number that you can text? Excuse me, what the location is, they're in Philadelphia, then Minneapolis. And in some cases, you can actually pull a person's name also just based on, having a phone number. So if that's something that, may interest you, reach out to us and we'll, kind of prioritize it based on interest. But there's a whole bunch of different tools there to work with phone numbers, gaining new people, having them call in, stuff like that.
Okay. Any questions about phone live streaming, online broadcasting, online ministry? If you want to, you can unmute and ask your question. We'll give you a few seconds here. Okay.
So there's one topic. Is it okay if I jump in here for a minute?
Sure.
One topic that I hear a couple times. How do I make my phone live stream sound better? Okay. And there's, I'll give 3 or 4 examples just to kind of whet your appetite. If this is something that you're interested in, you can connect with me later if you want more details on any one of these, or they should be examples on our YouTube and social pages and such. So the first thing is with OBS, you can actually set 2 different mixes, and you can set a different filter on your phone mix. And so if you're using OBS, Wirecast, vMix, any of those software platforms to stream, you can say, I believe it's input, you can route audio to inputs, and then you can also route those to your stream. There's a video that we have on our YouTube channel that shows exactly how to do this, but it allows you to add gates and compression and stuff like that to your phone stream. And so you're pulling the same stream off your soundboard, and you still get all the automation of just hitting start streaming with OBS, Wirecast, vMix, but you get the different, the better sounding with a little bit of compression shipped off on the phone side. Another thing that I highly recommend is using a USB audio digitalizer, which sounds really fancy, but they're normally like $100 off Amazon. So you don't blow your sound card out, because I've blown like more than I care to say out. And one of the features with those is you normally have headphone input. And so I monitor that, and most of them have a gain threshold on there. And if it's peaking, the specific one that I like to use, they're like Lexicon Alpha, I think they're called. I think I found a used one for like $80 the other day. But it'll show you when it's peaking. And so between the speaking and the music, we're a Pentecostal church, so our music gets pretty loud. Being able to run it right up to where it's peaking between the speaking and the music, and being able to monitor it with the headphones, that's made a huge difference, not only in our phone streaming, but also in our Facebook and YouTube feeds. And then the third thing in general is just a real off the cuff is pull down the highs a little bit and get rid of some of the bass. I've heard a couple people say, hey, it just, goes blank, or it's extremely staticky, and then there's a blank spot or something like that. And 9 times out of 10, when I go and look at, the original versus what they're doing, it's bass. I know we like our bass, but telephone doesn't like bass.
What David's talking about is it peaks out on the telephone. We get the highs and lows. So you want to get it in that middle, and so it's smoother to the people listening on the phone, because it doesn't sound the same as it does on the speaker on the computer. And so there are tools and techniques for doing that, and that's what he's talking about there.
And if you have any questions, want to deep dive any of this, you can ask here, or you can ask offsite. Just wanted to throw that out there. I got a question here. Is phone live streaming available in Canada? It is. Phone live streaming is available in the United States and Canada. So anywhere US and Canada, we are good. Actually, about a third of our clients are Canadian. So we have a pretty good footprint up north.
Yeah, we have over 700 customers that are using phone live streaming of all kinds of denominations, like I said, in Canada and across the United States as well. And those customers came to us, majority of them, all I think but 6, either for SEO searching, word of mouth, or people passing on a Facebook post. So without advertising, basically word of mouth is where those customers come from. Of that, we have 3 or 4 that are government customers. They called us up and they said, we know you serve churches, but we could use this for our government meetings. And that's because of inclusion. The government wants to make sure that nobody is being held back from being able to attend a public meeting. And so the poor, the elderly, those that don't speak English can attend public meetings by phone live streaming, that 15% of the population that we talked about earlier. And as our churches, these are people that we would not reject at the door of our church. So do we want to reject them from our online ministry? And
so just to kind of highlight that for just a second. So I hear some people say, well, that's not the demographic of my church, right? I don't have the elderly, the poor, the non-English speakers. so much in my church. It's not 15% for us. It's 3%. And my concern with that is, are you just trying to reach your church, or are you trying to reach your community? Like, what's the mindset, right? And this is something that even our church fights. Just being honest. Is it us four and no more, or are we trying to reach everybody here, right? And so, in that case of we're trying to reach everybody, we're trying to engage everybody. This isn't a solution where you flip a switch and in 4 weeks you've got 500 people listening to phone live streaming because it's now included. It's a work in progress, right? You're gonna have to put some blood, sweat, and tears into reaching your community, and this is one of those tools that can help you do that as you kind of shift your mindset from us four and no more to hey, let's try and reach, let's try and grow, let's bring the tools in, right? It's just like putting a handicap ramp in front of your church. That doesn't mean all the handicapped people start coming to your church, right? It just shows, hey, I have some interest here. Oh, hey, you can accommodate me because I need to bring my wheelchair up into the church, right? And you don't get rid of your handicap ramp after a month if you don't have 50 handicapped people coming into your church. It's a very similar situation with phone live streaming. So just kind of wanted to highlight that real quick.
Mm-hmm. So phone live streaming a year ago, March the 12th, right when the pandemic was started, was created for connecting the elderly to the live stream. But what we discovered when customers started signing up, and we would call them and ask them, what's their goals of using phone live streaming, we found out that one church here in Minnesota is in a community that is known as the poorest, lowest income community in the state of Minnesota. And that pastor signed up because 100% of his church couldn't get online with online streaming because they didn't have the technology. They couldn't afford the technology and the access. So he does phone live streaming just for the poor, and that opened our eyes to that need. We didn't realize that need was there before. Another church signs up and says, well, I need a translation line because I've got Spanish and Chinese and and Russian and all these other languages that phone live streaming is being used for. We didn't think about that. That came along from the customers. So, it's really cool, some of the uses. One church told us they're using phone live streaming for email. So they sent out a weekly email, but there's this group of people who can't receive email. So they do an audio recording of their email. They upload it using the Sim Live feature. And on Thursday morning, they call everybody, and those people receive an audio version of their email. We have a church out east. I think there's over 600 subscribers to their prayer line, using it for a prayer line. So phone live streaming got used for so much more than we ever imagined when we started. It was really neat seeing all the different uses.
So one of the things that I talked about earlier in this conversation, there's all those different methods of going live: the Sim Live, the RTMP, the broadcast by phone, broadcast by browser. Those can all be used intermingled. So we have a number of clients who on a Sunday they use RTMP for their midweek devotion from home. They use the broadcast by phone, and for their announcements they upload an MP3, and they all work together. So you don't have to say, oh, I only want RTMP or so on. So any of these things you can add. If you're currently a customer, you can do this with your account, and there's no extra configuration or anything that's needed besides just using that method.
Okay. Any more questions at this time? All right. So David, let's talk about some of those surprise advanced features like I think podcasting, the menu, custom greetings, things like that.
Yeah. So just to kind of set a foundation for this part of the conversation, I'd say roughly 2/3 of phone live streaming features were built from customer feedback. That's how the majority of what we do is driven. Is somebody comes and says, "Hey, it'd be nice if I could do this," or it'd be nice if I could do that. What's the possibility of having this kind of feature set or whatnot? And so if anything, we use that as a catalyst, and we may flush it out a little bit more on our side. But a lot of this stuff is customer driven. So I heard podcasting first. So a lot of places offer podcasting. That's nothing new. What is unique about PhoneLiveStreaming's podcasting feature is that it's automated, right? That's one of the big things about PhoneLiveStreaming is all the automation stuff that we have in the phone space. But we're automatically getting your audio. We're automatically, especially with the RTMP stuff, we're getting all that already. So for about roughly an hour investment one time, you can have a Apple and Spotify, valid podcast, and it automatically updates based on your PhoneLiveStreaming stuff coming in. Just to verify real quick, Lola, it is available in Canada. Yeah, about a third of our customers are Canadian. Thank you for calling that out again. So that's podcasting. Custom greetings is something that's kind of grown and flourished. But so a lot of places have, the first part of the call, you can upload a custom greeting or something, and then the rest of it's got some robo voice with it. So by default, your phone system has a robo voice for all the greetings and all the prompts. What we've done is every single part of your phone system, from the greetings to the prompts, all the way through, you can upload a MP3 file recording for that greeting or for that prompt. And so what that allows you to do is it allows you to totally customize the sound and how it the phonics of your phone system. So the Southern people, they have their Southern twang, and instead of saying hey, they might say howdy. They can totally personalize that for their congregation, for their community, from the beginning welcome all the way to the final goodbye of the phone call. Now, what's really cool about this, especially in the translation space, is now not only is your message or your broadcast, say in a different language, say Spanish, right? But now every phone greeting, every phone prompt, every single thing your phone system says can be in that language, right? So now you're taking it a step further. Hey, we're not just posting, a Spanish video on an English Facebook, right? We actually have a Spanish audio that's on a Spanish phone line. All the greetings, all the prompts, everything the phone system says can be in Spanish, right? So there's lots of power to custom greetings. It's very cool, and it's easy to do. We have a link to a tool where you just hit record your voice, drag and drop, and that's it. So that's custom greetings.
The on-demand menu at the end.
Yeah, so we have I call it call to action, right? So at the end of the live stream, at the end of them listening to a playback file, we used to just say, hey, thanks for listening, with us today, goodbye. And it's just kind of like a 10-second just like drop off. It's like, okay, you left people hanging. But with call to actions, you can actually say, hey, if you like to talk to somebody about salvation, you can press 1. If you'd like to request prayer, you can press 2. If you'd like to talk to the church office about giving, you can press 3. And so you can have these different call to actions at the end of your live stream. And so you're not just, cold disconnecting or cold dropping people off, kind of like you would at your church. You'd have an altar call or a time of, hey, let's actually think about or do something with what we've learned today, right? You can have that same kind of interaction, same kind of feeling on your phone live streaming phone system with call to actions. So recommend you check that out. That's pretty cool. And basically the 1, 2, 3, you get to select the phone number or the menu prompt. So press 5, press 8, you get it's a drop down, and then you forward it to a phone number, right? So press 1 if you have a prayer request, right? So you say, you select 1 from the drop down, and then you say, okay, here's the pastor's phone number, let's say. And so any call that comes in and they press 1, they'll get sent to the pastor's phone. And so that's how call to greetings works, or call to action. Sorry.
Okay.
I've got custom greetings in my head still.
Yeah. Any questions at this point? All right, feel free to ask in the chat or unmute yourself. It's okay if you interrupt us. So one last thing, David. So our customers discovered the use of translation with phone line streaming. There were numerous features about it that other translation systems did not have. Can you enumerate those?
Yeah. So that's a loaded question. So one of the big differences that kind of stands out first and foremost about phone live streaming translation broadcasting versus traditional translation broadcasting is the price. It's a monthly fee. Even if it's on the $179 a month package, but we've had a church that we're working with where they spent $10,000 to put in a translation system. So how many months would you have to go before you get any kind, before you break $179 a month for translation? So there's a huge price benefit right out of the gate. Number two is the bring your own device. So with COVID and trying to sanitize, right? So the traditional translation broadcasting stuff, there's a little earbud and you got the little side pack, right? And after every service, you come out and you throw it in a basket. And then what do you do the next service? You come in, you pick up another random one, stick it in your ear and throw it on your belt, right? So you may have, 20, 50, 100 of these earbud packs being rotated through your church or your event. And I don't think anybody likes that. So with phone live streaming, people bring their own device. They bring their own cell phone. There's the church that adopted this. They just went on Amazon and you can get I think it's like a 10 pack or 100 pack or something of just the cheap wired headphones that they put at their concierge table. And then they just have a big sign, hey, for Spanish, call 1-800, whatever, in Spanish, of course. But then you also get the outbound call engagement piece, right? So they don't have to be on site to receive the translation. That's another big thing where the traditional, systems, you have to be within so many feet, or you got to add another antenna, or all this stuff, right? So I can be on site, I can be off site, I can be across the country, I can be, anywhere in the United States and Canada, and I can listen to the translation that's coming across. Now, also, as a broadcaster of that translation, right? So if I'm the translator and I'm translating into Spanish or from English or into French or into Russian, I can be located anywhere. I don't have to be on site anymore. Right. So there's a lot of the customers that we have that do the translation. They enjoy the offsite deal because they can go to the Starbucks down the road. They can go to their home office, wherever they're comfortable at, and provide that translation. They just pull up the live stream on their computer, throw in headphones, and they're off to the races. And then, of course, with the custom greetings part, they can totally customize how the phone system sounds in that particular language, with their particular branding and phonics of their church. That a wireless translation pack doesn't provide that kind of additional buffering, pre and post messaging.
Yeah. And the funny thing about all that is it was a God thing. We never created the program to do that. The customers discovered that it did all that for them and then told us about it. And we're like, oh, we got a translation tool here.
So what really kind of solidified it for us, right, is we had one customer sign up 4 times. And so I was calling them, hey, did you make a mistake? Was there, is there an issue here? Are you having trouble signing up? Nope. Love the system. We wanted 4 lines. And I was like, okay, explain more. And that's what kind of solidified that, hey, this is really a translation tool. And then, talking to customers where they're like, hey, we spent $10,000 a piece for this new translation equipment, not 6 months pre-COVID. And within 6 months, I think this particular church had 3 or 4 lines too. They had a $40,000 investment that was null and void. Just, $40,000 that they couldn't do anything with. They found phone live streaming and they fell in love with us. And it was kind of a love-hate relationship because they just wasted $40,000. But they were grateful to find us, and they're actually bringing us other translation-based customers. So
yeah,
very cool.
Well, we thank everybody for joining us today. This is our first attempt at this, and we had 5 people join us in addition to David and I. And we thank you for
I'm a person.
Bring up the questions and interacting. And if you do have a last minute question, please feel free to share it and we'll answer your question.
So if while people are unmuting to ask questions or typing them in the chat, if there's any, you want to get a hold of me directly, my personal email, david@phonelivestreaming.com. And I normally try to respond pretty quick. Again, that's david@phonelivestreaming.com. You can get a hold of me, and then Dad is
Hugh.
It's Hugh, Hugh, @phonelivestreaming.com. You can get a hold of us directly if you need to.
So David, do you have a coupon code that they can use in the next 48 hours if they wanted to save a little money and sign up for Phone Live Streaming?
Hey, nothing like putting me on the spot. I like it. So I'm gonna put it in the chat here, and that way everybody has it. So the capital letters and all the spacing and stuff. So it's PLS Friends, capital P, capital L, capital S, capital F, PLS Friends, and that'll get you $30 off any annual commitment in the next 48 hours. So PLS Friends, and I did copy. Oh, everyone, here we go. PLS Friends off any annual commitment. Next. And if you want us to deep dive into your specific setup, your specific church, how you guys do live streaming and how it would work with phone live streaming, you can go to phonelivestreaming.com and book a call, and one of us will jump on a one-on-one call with you and go through exactly what it would look like in your specific situation. So we'd love to do that also.
Great. If you do the book a call, we recommend that you try to schedule and include your team, right? Your technical team, your ministry team. If you have a special department that it impacts, get the team together so that all the questions can be answered all at once. You all hear the same thing and can make a better decision that way.
Cool. I don't.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Else here, so I think we're going to jump off.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Have an awesome day, and hopefully we'll be working with you later. Thank you.